Have you ever felt like you just don't stand out? Like people barely notice you, and when they do, they don't remember you? You're not alone. I used to feel invisible, like I had no personality. There's a way to change that. It really hit me back in high school. We had this big friend group. One of the girls, she told me that I seemed very shy and reserved. I didn't say a lot back then. And that was just after we had a conversation about some of the people that also went to the same school that had definitely made an impression about who they were and what they stood for, things they liked. And nobody really knew what I liked or what I was interested in. And while it wasn't the nicest comment, it made me realize something huge. I wasn't showing my personality because I wasn't developing it. And I want to address the core issue here, because having no personality, that isn't about being boring or quiet. The root of it is not knowing how to express yourself, your interests, or your passions. And that's what I was missing back then. It's definitely not uncommon to feel this way, especially if you're young or you haven't explored your passions yet. But here's the good news: you don't find your personality, you build it. And the first step is just that, developing passions and interests. I thought I had none, but the truth is, I just hadn't spent enough time with anything to really feel comfortable sharing about it. Back then I played a lot of guitar, and later on I've started getting into photography. And I tried building a coaching business, I got into fitness, and I went to martial arts. I did all these things. I just remember back then the main bottleneck was I didn't feel comfortable sharing it. But then suddenly I had done so much that I felt like I have a lot of things to share. And from me doing a lot of things, I suddenly just became someone who shared a lot more. So a practical tip here is pick something that seems even remotely interesting and commit to it. Whether it's coding, fitness, or playing guitar, give it enough time to see progress. And that progress will fuel your passion to do even better and to share what you learned. And the second step to this is becoming a better storyteller and learning how to communicate your passions. Even if you're deeply interested in something, it doesn't matter if you can't express it to others. That's where storytelling comes in. A practical tip here is something I got from the book Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. It's to start small by keeping a daily journal where you write a short story about just one thing that happened that day, something that stood out to you, and then practice sharing it with your friends or even in front of a mirror. I have 3 years worth of stories in that document by now. I started at the end of 2021 with trying this tip, so I can also go back and relive some of these old stories, which is just a great bonus, apart from having great stories to tell. And I want to emphasize that this is a process. At first, it's gonna feel a little awkward. I know it did for me. But just like learning a new skill, it gets easier with practice. And it gets easier to be in the spotlight. The more you develop your passions and storytelling ability, the more natural it becomes. And also try to surround yourself with people who bring out your personality. Some people naturally make you feel more confident and alive. So spend more time with those people. It'll make you feel much better. So if you ever felt like you have no personality, know that it's not permanent. You can build it one step at a time. Let's say someone asks you, what's your craziest life experience? And you haven't practiced storytelling. You might freeze up, you might fumble through it. But if you've been working on expressing yourself, that same story in that same setting can flow smoothly and leave an impact. People remember good stories. It's part of how we connect as humans. So start by diving into something that excites you, even a little, then practice sharing it with the world. Your personality isn't something you're born with, it's something you create. And I'd love to hear your story. Let me know in the comments, what's one passion or interest that you want to develop? If this video resonated with you, I'd highly appreciate if you hit the like button and subscribe for more content on building your best self.